These are my top 5 Grimdark Fantasy novels of 2023. I read a lot of books this year, but these are my favorite. And you have to read it so that we can talk about it because all of them are epic. Now, in another alternate universe, any one of them I could have ranked number 1, but for this universe, this is my list. Later in this video, I have a little rant that I just have to get on my chest. So if it applies to you, I promise you it's not personal. I just have to get it off my chest. Let's start with number 5, BlackWi. This one was unexpected. This is not a book that I heard anything about, but someone on my Discord, knowing that I loved Aching God, recommended this book and they got it spot on. BlackWi has very weird characters, and these characters are also intriguing, and none of them are quite good people, but they are relatable because they have a sense of loyalty and trust between one another, and the extent to which they are willing to go for one another is what endears you to these characters. In general, I can't say the highs were the highest or the lows were the lowest, but what I got in reading BlackWi was consistent quality. It was so good that I only dropped this book when I absolutely had to. The only reason why this book wasn't number 1 is because, unlike the rest of the books, I read more books in the series. For this book, I only read book 1. Number 4, The Obsidian Path. Michael Fletcher has done it again. When I was reading this book, just like my experience with Beyond Redemption, I felt that Michael Fletcher wrote this book specifically for me. There's something about the stories he tells that just captivates every nook and cranny of my imagination. The reason why this book is not number 1 on my list is because the main character wasn't my favorite person in the book, but I kind of understand that his makeup, how he was designed, is essential to the story itself. Like, there's no story if he wasn't designed the way he was designed. So, like, I can accept that. There was a character that more than made up for that as far as I'm concerned. Hemka, the main character's love interest. Now, she just steals the show with her cunning, with her wit, with her scheming, and most importantly with her toxicity. She is so toxic. For some reason, I find that so hot, so irresistible. Now, given she's an undead necromancer that steals the body parts of beautiful women, not just to stay beautiful herself, but to stop her from decaying and rotting, but still she is so hot. It's about the personality, not necessarily about the physical, and just based off that, she's my ideal woman. What did he say? To my girlfriend in real life, I love you, but Hemka though. Hemka. Number 3, 11th Cycle by Kian Adalan. Now, for a book that almost didn't even make the list to start with, for it to be number 3 just shows how much of a good time I had reading this book. I initially found it so hard to read because it was boring, it was predictable. The way it starts, I wanted to pull my hair when I was reading it. It basically starts off like every single story that strictly follows the hero's journey structure. There was nothing special about it in the beginning. I usually have a problem DNFing books, and for once it actually paid off. And once the story picks up, oh my god, just based off the character development, where the characters start out and where they end up, the character development is something that you yourself are experiencing, and you know, your understanding of the book and the way it makes you feel is adapting and developing as the characters are developing as well. See, just for the battle at the end, you need to read this book. My only regret reading this book is that I have to wait for a whole year for the next one to come out. Now, I watched a review of this book and it kind of pissed me off. Now, there's nothing that grinds my gears as much as a book reviewer reviewing a grimdark or dark fantasy book saying,
well, I think that the violence and the depravity was a bit unnecessary. There were just points where it wasn't driving the plot forward and the writer was just indulging themselves.
It's like reading a romance novel and saying, oh, I feel like the characters are making out too much. What is this? Too much. It's not driving the plot forward. Or reading a horror novel and complaining that, oh my god, this horror book is a little bit too scary. It's unnecessarily scary. It's not driving the plot forward. What was the point of that scare over there? The meaningless deaths, violence, and depravity is the point. Meaning created out of meaninglessness is how consciousness contends with existence. And that is the idea behind why a lot of us love Grimdark. To read it and criticize it for what it is intending itself to be is absolutely ridiculous. The Depravity wasn't driving the plot forward. He was just doing it for shock value. That's the point. Number 2, the name of the wind. Now I know it is not Grimdark, it's not dark fantasy, and I'm a little bit late to the party, but I read it this year and I absolutely love it. On every level of this book, the writing, the story, the prose, the hidden layers of meaning, and the poetry and the musical elements, so many aspects of this book are so well done. It's just layers and layers of very good writing and very good storytelling. This book appeals to both the reader and the writer inside me to a very high level. Now, it's not every book I can say that for, but I can definitely say for Name of the Wind. The only downside to me reading this book now is that I've joined the camp of,
when is the next book going to come out?
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you. Now for number 1, my favorite Grimdark read of 2023. And that has to be The Black Company. Woo! The book is dark. The book is epic. The book is... it has everything I want. It is easy to see how this book inspired Malazan, which went on to inspire even more Grimdark and dark fantasy. It's a masterclass in storytelling and writing. The characters are over the top, and where this book really excels is in its relationship between the characters. So the relationship between the main character and his crew, the relationship between the main character and the antagonist. In that world, you can pick any side character and write a standalone novel for them, and it's a bestseller. Like, the book is so good. This book, there are flying carpets in this book. Flying carpets. Somehow, Glenn Cook made that not be corny. I understand this book was written a long time ago, and maybe flying carpets were the thing at that time, but even till today it holds up and it's not corny. He's just such a dope writer. Let's talk about his writing. A lot of people complain about the first book, saying that the prose was a little bit too difficult to understand, but book 1 had some of the best prose I have read. He describes a lot with a few words. Every word feels like it carries weight. So with short sentences, he can ignite your imagination and stay consistent with tone, imagery, detail, emotion. To be able to write on that level is truly a gift. And Glenn Cook has become one of my favorite writers just because of this series. This is the only series that I've read from him, but I already put him on that pedestal. Now, if you've watched up until this point and you enjoyed this video, I know just the next video for you to watch. I did a character analysis on one of dark fantasy's most recognizable character, Guts from Berserk. Check it out over here. Stay epic and peace.